Have you ever wondered how the brain works? Well, let's learn about that. I'm Isabella and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the first part of a two-part video series on how the brain works. Today's video is going to be on the different parts of the brain and how they function. The second video will be on how a neuron impulse is transmitted and how different lobes of the brain work. So let's get right on to the video. Hey guys, so let's get right into looking at different parts of the brain. Here I have my model brain that I made out of modeling clay. I'm going to show you each specific part, starting with the outside lobes. So let me zoom in so you can get a good. Here guys is the model of the brain up close. So first I'm going to be going over the lobes of the brain. There are 4 lobes. I'm going to be doing this rather quickly, but don't worry, in my next video we're going to be going over them more in depth. So first, the blue here, this is called the frontal lobe because it's in the front. Next is the yellow and the red. The yellow lobe is called the parietal lobe. The red lobe is called the occipital lobe. And down here, the green on either side is called the temporal lobe. Now let's open the brain up. Okay, that's a lot of color and it might look confusing. Don't worry, we're going to go over it. If you need to skip back and rehear the explanations of each part, you definitely can do that. We're first going to start off with the 3 major parts of the brain. There's 3 of them. The cerebellum, the medulla, which is right here. It's also called the brainstem. Then there is the cerebrum, which is right here, this big part of your brain. Let's start off with the cerebrum. The cerebrum is the biggest part of your brain. It controls your senses, your thoughts, and your imagination. So think of your 5 senses. That is controlled by your cerebrum. Next is the cerebellum, often called the little brain. It is a lot smaller, but it deals with a lot of functions in your body. It deals with motion, so running and walking. It deals with balance, being able to stand upright, and it deals with learning new things. So when you think of voluntary movements in your body, like the ability to walk, the ability to run, and the ability to laugh and play, that is controlled by your cerebellum. Next is the medulla or the brainstem. This deals with the automatic or involuntary functions of the body. Actions of the body like breathing and your digestive system, for example. That is controlled by the medulla. Now we're going to be going over this middle part of your brain. This green part is called the hypothalamus. It is a small region of your brain located near the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland can be seen right here on the other part of the brain. The pituitary gland releases hormones to your body. The green, the hypothalamus, releases hormones as well. It regulates body temperature too. The thalamus, the yellow inside, has extensive nerve connection. So it has a lot to do with your motor and sensory skills. So when, for instance, you might burn your hand on the stove, the nerve impulse is sent to your brain. It is sent to the hypothalamus. It is sent to the thalamus, which sends the information to your cerebral cortex, cerebrum, to tell your body what to do. Next, it also deals with your consciousness, so that's being awake. It deals with your sleep, and it deals with your alertness. And so next, we're going to be looking over the corpus callosum. That's a silly word. Say it with me again. Corpus callosum. This is integrated with motor and sensory skills in the brain. It has the cerebral cortex on one side up to the other. So this is the corpus callosum, and this is the cerebral cortex. The corpus callosum is filled with 2 million axons that interconnect with the two hemispheres. So there's two sides of the corpus callosum that kind of hold the brain together. Axons, also known as neurons, are kind of the nerves in your brain, and if you were to actually cut a brain in half, there would be a lot of nerves all in between here. So next we're going to move on to this white stuff here, and you're like, what is this white? This is actually a very simple name. This is called white matter. So let's go over what white matter is. So white matter has pretty simple. White matter is tissue through which messages pass between different areas of the brain. So messages will just pass from the hypothalamus straight to the cerebrum or the cerebral cortex, like we said. So that is pretty much each part of the brain. Let's review it. Here is the three main parts of the brain: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the medulla. The cerebrum does what? Take this time to pause and ask your classmates or yourself what the cerebrum does. The cerebrum controls thoughts, your senses, and your ability to have an imagination. Let's go on to the cerebellum. Pause this video and talk to your classmates or think to yourself what the cerebellum does. The cerebellum deals with our motor and balance and our ability to learn new things. It controls voluntary movements. Let's move to the medulla, or the brainstem. I will give you time to talk to your classmates or yourself and figure out what it is. The medulla deals with our involuntary movements, the automatic control in our body, which could be our respiratory system or our digestive system, which we don't have to put any effort into to control. Let's go over the midbrain. The hypothalamus and the thalamus. Can you remember what those do? The hypothalamus releases hormones to the body. It also regulates our sleep pattern. It also regulates sleep, consciousness, and sends motor and sensory information to the cerebrum and cerebellum. That's the hypothalamus and the thalamus. The pink area here. Can you remember what that does? That's the corpus callosum. And remember, it's filled with 2 million neurons that interconnect the two sides of the hemispheres of the brain. It helps deal with your motor and sensory skills. So that's why it's in the cerebrum. Like we talked about, that deals with our 5 senses. On one side is the cerebral cortex, and same on the other. And that is the function of the brain. Oh, and we can't forget the pituitary gland, which also helps send hormones to the body. I hope you learned so much from this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and let's head on to part 2.